Hello. Hello, everyone. I think. No. Maybe. What the hell? I'm still not used to the audio. But I'll get used to it. No worries. Um, how is everyone? How is everyone doing? Bash, how are you doing? Welcome first to the chat. I'm apparently missing a co-host, but I don't really have a problem with that. So we're gonna continue on anyway. I have a spooky bed hair. Hello. I'm not sure if I know you, but I'm so happy to see you here because new people are fun. I like new perspectives. I have a thought for tonight's show. It was my thought. I was hoping to get some data in on this because what kind of wasteland would it be without data? There's some people being beamed down. You can't hear the voices. Am I going through? I see green bar. Mic is up. It's just me. No voices, just me. Two people beaming down from the spaceship. Would anyone like to know something weird and cool? I just made those people. And do you know why they look strangely similar? They look strangely similar because the head is a 0, the body is a 1, the arms are a W upside down, and the legs are a V upside down. That's how you looking! Welcome to the chat. How are you? I have a conversation. I was going to do a video on this, but I've been very busy, and I sit down on my computers in the evenings and focus hard on this show, but it's never enough time to do some of what I want to do. So I thought maybe today would be a good day to bring it to the show. I might still do a video on it, but I think the conversation and maybe getting some extra input might even help make the video better. You never know. Let's say these two people up on the screen. Why do things not look to be working? I used to have a chat, didn't I? Something's wrong if I don't have a chat. Let's add a chat. I don't know where the chat is. Let's try right there. Oh, please don't tell me everything's all screwed up. Everything's all screwed up, guys. And I'm not going to waste time fixing it unless I can do it while I talk. And here's my conversation. There's two people on the screen. There's two people in that beam of light. If one of those people kills the other, there should be punishment. Correct? And this punishment should be set down for what is done. It should not matter which one of these is different in what way. It should be carried out equally regardless. And trying to have this conversation gets difficult because there's so much out there that makes that not true. Unless there is a justifiable reason for him to kill the other, then yes, he should be punished and punished equally. Okay. Did you just assign gender to my characters? Literally, characters. They're O1VW. This is what we're going to call these people. They're O1VW. That's their designation. Each. They're equal. They're the same. There's nothing different about them. Nothing happened. One shot the other. Are they people, though? Sure, they're people for this scenario. Is anything really justifiable, though? Well, let's find out. This is the conversation I want to have. All right, so the Volkswagens. I didn't even think of that. this is the conversation I want to have. What are the grounds around the murder? What are the grounds around VW1 ramming into VW2? Why did it happen? Did VW1 assault them? This is a problem I see and I have. It really doesn't so much matter hugely the circumstances surrounding the event that happens, because what I'm seeing is conflation of things by not taking a general outlook of them. So, right, okay, so there it is, JCTV, murder is murder, period. But let's look at that, because I agree, but I try to look at every situation the same. So what I mean is, if the one on the left shot the one on the right, and they went into court, the one on the left not having to defend himself or having any mean spirit or anything, reason aside, the person was shot. The sentence is 20 years. Okay? If the person on the left were black and the person on the right were white, and the black person shot the white person, then he should get 20 years. If it was vice versa and a white guy shot a black guy, he should get 20 years. If the one on the left were a man and the one on the right were a woman, regardless, 20 years. So, what if the one on the left was white and the one on the right was black, and the white one was a member of the KKK and shot the black guy as a part of his belief in that tradition that there's no value? Should his sentence be greater than a standard person who shot somebody? This is what I'm trying to get at. Not only do I not believe in the unequal sentencing of people for the same crime, or imbalanced, or I don't know what it is. And I say this as a felon who should have probably served a lot more time than I did for the crime I did, but I took a plea and was eligible for a reduced sentence. I try to give a lot of thought to these things. So let's take this. Should a hate crime come into play when a murder is involved? If the person on the left shot the person on the right because they hated their race or they hated their gender, should that come into play in the case? Should that make the sentence worse? Should that lessen the sentence because they felt they were suspect that the person they were encountering was about to, or was then doing something that was portrayed as overpowering or insulting? Sorry, let me look back at the chat. Does not justify killing. No, the black guy has no justification to shoot him. He has not committed a violent or threatening act upon person one. Well, that would be a hate crime. No, that's the one I was talking about. But then murder is not done in the name of hate. I think that due to the intent shown that they could be repeating the same, I think that seeing if someone can be rehabilitated and broken. If someone takes more time to integrate into society, then they should have to stay till they reform. Okay. In that case right there, that's what's called good time. if you have a 20-year sentence, you're going to serve, what, two-thirds, three-quarters of it? If you behave and you don't cause problems, you're eligible for early release. In the case of violent crimes and murder, you go in front of a parole board. Hey, Doc, notice you have a wrench. I forgot to give it to you last show. It's not I love to bang your dead. Something. I meant it done in hate. Sorry. I love you too. Blah, blah. It's not about singing about something. It's not about something, it's about someone. I'm getting it slowly. I can almost understand type keyboard gibberish. The question becomes, why? I personally don't believe in making a sentence harsher or more lenient based on the fact that the crime was committed for an intent or reason. For instance, a shooter goes into a building and shoots 10 people. Okay, they shot 10 people. The sentence for shooting somebody and not killing him is 10 years. Well, he killed 2. Okay, well, 20 years for each person he killed. Holy shit, the guy's doing like 80 or 90 years. Easy sentencing. Did he do it or not? What's happened is things have gotten way too complicated. Oh, well, there's special circumstances that can be taken into account. And when you start to allow special circumstances, that's where you can start to change that sentence and allow for different outcomes based on how you feel that person might adapt or change from what they just encountered. Each case should be judged on its own merit. If someone killed someone else because of the color of skin, then that should be taken into consideration. Yes. However, if somebody kills somebody and is found guilty, the sentence should remain the same. The side considerations become a problem. And this is partly, people will somewhat agree with me here, if we can start to move our prison system more into a rehabilitation system, then we'd have a lower recidivism rate. Now, I have my ideas, being that I was in a reduced sentence program that changed me a lot. And I have to say, I walked away from that program with more knowledge, more ability, more training than I ever thought I would get by going to prison. But I went to prison for what I did wrong. And I went in for a sentence that was within the range of what I did. And prisons have become vocational schools for criminals. That's very interesting when you say that, because that's almost true. It has a GED setup and training and classes in most of the prisons I've been in the state I'm in. And I've been to a couple because they move you around a little bit and you talk to people. So I've got information from several out of dozens. But it's not so much that it's a vocational school. It's like a mandatory GED obtain progress. You get your general education diploma, and that's it. As for extra classes and stuff, those aren't really optional. I was in a low security prison on the program that I got, so I got put on work details, and anybody who's open to learning new things, put on a work detail. It's like, shit, show me whatever you want to show me. I'll learn it. I'll soak that up like a sponge. And boy, did I learn how to do some shit. They put me everywhere because I'll work. I just want to serve my time and get done. That's all they're after. Serve your time and get done. I already went in with my education, so I had to help other people. But other than that, I did my thing. I went in, I served my time, I got through it. I came home. I had my family. I had things better to do than sit in there and cause problems. Pardon. This is my problem, though. When it comes to a situation where somebody injures another, that could be intent to murder, could be intent to harm, these crimes need to not be able to be swayed so far based on the circumstances. If you stab or shoot somebody, then the outcome should be remotely the same regardless of who, why, where, when, for what. You stabbed or shot somebody. That is a crime. That's a crime that you should know that if you do, you're going to receive a sentence that you're not going to like. And if people growing up in school are learning in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, you need to start reading the newspaper. You need to start reporting on articles that you see in the newspaper. So what are they looking and seeing in the newspaper? They're seeing guys getting arrested at Starbucks and then everything changing around. Now you can sit and hang out at any Starbucks you want. Okay, tangent for just a moment. What's going to happen is, now that Starbucks has done it, it's going to be McDonald's and Burger King and Taco Bell and KFC and Carl's Jr. and Wendy's and Friendly's and Denny's, and all these places are going to have people going, well, no, you have free Wi-Fi on the door. I just needed to sit here for a minute. I haven't asked for anything. Where's your bathroom? Real quick. Our bathrooms for customers. Oh, so because I'm not eating anything, I can't use your bathroom. All right. So, what are people gonna get out of what we're seeing in the news today? This is beginning to scare me to a point. I'll calmly state this. I don't know if other people are seeing most of what I'm seeing, that we're not putting our foot down on things that are happening. When you stab somebody and you could possibly kill them, there should be at least a couple year sentence on that, I believe. If you did it in an accident, maybe we can take that down a little bit. But if you came after a person with a knife and the knife went in that person, then we're looking at 5 years, maybe, at least. I don't want the next generation, I don't want my kids growing up in a world of news where, and I have one boy, one girl, where a girl gets a lesser sentence because she's smarter. Well, okay, let's look at women at different ages. We know that women advance in their education around college age. Men have a harder time getting through the same classes because of the way our brains work. So why would we use that? Oh, I'm really smart and I'm doing well in school, so I really don't want to lose the education that I had. And I'm sure everybody knows the case. I'm talking about the woman who stabbed the guy that was at Harvard and she was something or other that got her 6 months. And the swimmer that raped that got 6 months. Come on. I evenly agreed that is unrealistic to teach people. That yes, you are convicted of rape, but you should only serve 6 months. Yes, you are convicted of stabbing somebody, but you only deserve 6 months. Yeah, you gave somebody willingly, knowingly gave somebody without their permission a disease that could threaten their life. Didn't inform them. 6 months. Anybody starting to see a trend going on? Back at the chat. Sorry, tangent. Women get an excuse anyway. Shorter sentences for the identical crime. That's a prop. That's exactly what I'm saying. I need to take a drink. My mouth is getting a little dry. Oh, thank you. Excuse me. Take a life sentence, a life. Take a life, serve a life. Dude, not a good idea. I'm not saying serve life. Alright, I should read up just to make sure I'm reading this. Shorter sentences for the identical crime. You're done with the crime, you should get punished. Your own fault, threw your own life away. I broke my leg 5 seconds in a basketball game. I tried to stand up, kept playing. 3 hours later, I wanted to the hospital. Went to serve a life, dude. Not a good idea. NumbedSkull, what's the topic? The topic... How do I name this topic? Identity? This is a weird topic. This is because I'm missing a co-host, and I'm watching for him. He has the link and everything. This is me. This is my open thought, explaining to you guys how I think about this. Might explain some of how I question things and why I put questions the way I do. I want, as a person who tries to evenly think about every topic, I not only try to think about where we are on a topic, I try to keep up with, excuse me, I try to keep up with where we've been and think where history doesn't explain things, where the gaps are. There's so much possibility as to what we've already learned and has been forgotten and then has been relearned, that we could have been through some of this current social struggle before on smaller scales, but the reason it's like this now is because of the internet. And I want to look at the core ideas, look at what's going on, and try to assess the situation and see what it is that people are seeing different than me that makes them believe the situation is the way they see it, where I don't see it that way. Where does a Harvard student stabbing somebody deserve 6 months as opposed to like 3 years? Yeah, her student should be screwed up. She should not be in college. She shouldn't be after a doctorate. I don't think, and I could be wrong. I don't care how smart someone is. If you're willing to stab somebody and not in self-defense, then you're not that smart. I'm sorry. I've had loaded weapons in my hand, deadly knives in my hand. Thought crosses your mind once in a while. You know, I could rob that truck in front of me full of money, or I could empty out that cash till and run. But you don't do it. You don't do it because it's part of the integrity of the person you are. You don't plan to dress up like a clown, tie down your boyfriend, smother him with a pillow, and stab him 5 times. You don't plan to go out with 3 of your buddies, kidnap a handicapped kid, and scalp him. You don't plan to go into a school with 2 or 3 weapons and shoot up people you know. You don't plan to climb a hotel and shoot out the window with 30-some-odd weapons loaded with 50-round clips. This isn't normal. Your mind tells you these things aren't allowed. The TV, the news tells you that these things result in jail, death, horrible lives. Oh, but wait, he was a promising individual. He was 8 years through college. He only needed a few more weeks and he was going to be our new astro technician. But he killed somebody. But that's okay, though. We need him. No, it's not. It's not okay. I don't I don't care who you are, what you look like, how old you are, what your gender is, what skin color you are, where in the world you're from, or what you did. It's about, well, yeah, what you did. I take that last part away. I do care about what you did. It's about what you did. In treating a case equally or blindly, you take away the details of the individual committing the crime. Remove all of that from your mind. It doesn't matter who they are, where they're from, what their background was. That doesn't matter. None of it matters. What matters is, what has that person done? Has that person committed an event that is seen as disastrous to have in society? If so, there's a law saying this is what you do with people who have done this. There are laws for fucking everything. I will tell you, as a former dealer, there are laws for the scales, there are laws for the baggies, there are laws for the smoking devices, there are laws for everything. So just a regular smoker who happens to have scales to make sure he doesn't get screwed, gets pulled over and stopped and has a few things, 6, 7 laws like that. No shit. It's not hard. There's laws for everything. So why? Why can't we follow these laws? Why can't we say, okay, more as guidelines? I see what you're saying. Laws, they are kind of more as guidelines. No. The laws are supposed to be the doctrine. The guidelines are supposed to be the cases set in precedence. Unjust laws. A law is a law. Not obeying an unjust law still makes you against the law. And for you, seeing a law as unjust would be your perspective, your opinion. Welcome, Beware. I'm so happy I haven't seen you in a while. How are you? And I'm going to take that perspective down. You don't obey unjust laws. Let's say I'm a Mexican. I'm the guy on the left. I'm Mexican. The guy on the right is American ICE officer. I don't obey unjust laws. I don't believe in borders and border control, and I'm coming to America. Sorry about the pause there. I'm trying to let that process for a minute. Think about it in a way it's not a matter of how you feel. You do have the right to ignore it. You just be careful not to get caught. Okay, and that's another thing. Is that really something, and I'm not disagreeing with you, is that something that we want to put out there? You can ignore any law you want until you get caught, but once you caught, you still broke the law. Trust them. And I speak from good perspective. I broke the law. I got caught long after I did the crime. Okay, I did the crime though. Not everybody's going to be like me and be like, okay, I did it. What do I need to do? Serve my time, get done, get out, and get back to what I'm really supposed to be doing. A lot of people are like, no, I didn't do it, and I'm going to fight it, and I'm going to go through all this. To each their own. Not everybody thinks like me. That's why I always need another perspective. I want to look at how everybody sees this. If you're going to ignore a law you believe unjust, then you're as much as I can equate you to an illegal immigrant. I don't believe in borders. I can equate you to somebody in the caravans headed through Europe, breaking into countries. You don't believe in their laws. What you believe is different, and you're going to follow that rule. Immigration control is a just law. It betters the country and yourself. Large immigration laws hurt the immigrants as much as the country, and they can be exploited and have no legal way to fight back. Ignore. The system was originally to keep people out as much as possible. I hate the iPhone chat glitch. The system is to keep people out. When you want to develop something, and think about this how you will. When you want to develop a society, you want to keep the society safe. Within a large society, you can have smaller societies. Absolutely, that would be a country. And inside those smaller societies, even smaller ones, as you go down the scale. And each of those societies, dependent on its size, is looking to keep itself safe. And to keep itself safe, it establishes laws based on things that have happened. Now, we're going to encounter new things, but we have laws for murder. Why do we need laws for murder based on a hate crime? Then we can assign this arbitrarily based on what circumstances? How is it worse for somebody to kill someone else because it's a hate crime over just walking out and slicing off a head? And this is my problem. The two people on the screen could have any two differences you could assign them. One could be cisgender, one could be transgender. One could be black, one could be white. One could be male, one could be female. One could be American, one could be Mexican. One can be a cop, one can be a person. Assign them any characterization you want. What designation you assign them would grant one person the right over another to harm them and not serve an equal time. This is a constant struggle in my mind. I try to balance things out. I try to keep things equal. I want to consider different scenarios, different outcomes, different processes to get to those different conclusions of thought. How do I get to them if I don't understand where they came from? We are supposed to be equal, but from sociological nightmare about it is what we as humans want, someone superior and inferior. That's kind of true. Wow, I need a psychologist here to help me. We have a tendency, a trait, as maybe a sociologist might help a little better, but a psychologist is probably good too. We have a tendency or a trait to want to find people that are similar to us. I'm not necessarily just speaking color or gender or things like that. We want to find people that have similar viewpoints that we feel comfortable with. And there's actually, in sales, there's a technique I can't remember the name for, where you listen to the way someone speaks and you take part of their dialect and add it into the pitch of what you're selling. By adapting to the way a person speaks, you are then making yourself friendly to them because you're increasing, subconsciously increasing your comfort level in their mind. Because you're using their local dialect, you're picking up on keywords that they're using and you're giving them back. Another way to do this is, it's a technique for, why can't I think of what it's called? I can think of what it is, but I don't know what it's called or where I got it from. Again, I need a psychology professor to help me sometimes. If you repeat the question. So interesting that the chat seems to like having their things read. Even I, when I'm in a chat, I get a kick out of the host reading my chat. Death Hadouken, says JCTV. Yes, but hating someone for misdeed isn't considered a hate crime by law. Okay. It's called chameleon attraction. Is that what it's called, Saki? Thank you. Depends on what the reason for the act was. The details matter. Do they, though? I think the details can affect a crime to a point, but only so far. if you kill someone, you kill them. If you kill them, 20-year sentence. What kind of details can you offer for me to fairly and unbiasedly say that 20 years is unfair for someone to get for killing him? Was it an accidental murder? Well, you accidentally drove your car drunk into someone else and killed them. 20 years. Get the fuck in jail. And I'm sorry. Maybe I can be proven wrong, and I'm more than happy to be proven wrong. But I'm going to take whatever you give me, and I'm going to strip away the details that assign characterization to the person. Or maybe some of the characterization of the situation that could sway it one way or the other. It was a murder. My starting point is 20 years. If you prove the murder happened, 20 years is my starting point. You have to convince me hard to get away from that point. I don't want to add to it either. You only murdered one person. I'm not giving you more than 20 years, but I'm not fond of giving you less than 20 years either, because I don't want other people murdering somebody. And how do I make it so that nobody's going to want to murder if I'm okay with 6 months? If you want, I can come on and talk. You seem to be doing very well. I'm only going to go for a short bit longer, but I appreciate it, Vash. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate that. Again, each person in the case, its own merit, but it's down to the judge to interpret the law his way for sentencing, and most judges these days seem to be biased. I agree, and that is a problem. Judges seem to be biased. Now, this is the problem, though. When in our justice system, we have to go partly on the laws that are written and partly on previous cases that have happened that are very similar to that case. And judges use that, the precedent, to try to decide if they should change what they're thinking. You guys offer me details about your different opinions on this. A judge looks at precedent, things that have happened and been set down for the judge to look at to say, this is something I can compare to. This is what happened. This is what I can assign for this. So if you begin to set a precedent for attempted murder at, well, you're going to serve 30 days in jail. Well, cool. So attempted murder, just don't actually kill the person. Okay, I got this. What? Real murder. Well, she left him in ICU, so, let her serve 72 hours this time. She'll learn her lesson. I don't understand it. I don't care to, and I'm sorry. This is me. This is my opinion. I don't care if it was a him. I don't care if it was a her. What crime did they commit? Prove them guilty or not guilty. The sentencing should be remotely the same. And setting precedent for a different sentencing causes the problem that we currently have, where people can be given lesser sentences because of their personal circumstances growing up. They weren't taught what was right or wrong, and they got an award for slapping people in school because everybody did it. Because the cycle never ends. You killing him for killing someone, then killing someone else to kill you for killing him, and so on and so forth. An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. Death Harukan, justice is not revenge. No, justice does not necessarily have to equal punishing a person with the crime they committed. Hey, you robbed somebody, so therefore you're gonna get robbed. That's not justice. Justice is saying what you're doing is wrong. It is wrong based on the outlook of society at large. Killing is wrong, and therefore killing somebody will result in you serving 20 years in prison, 25 years in prison, 30 years in prison, whatever that sentence may be. But that sentence should not be swayed by any part of that person's life. Period. Ever. Stamp it. Mail it. Fucking done. I don't care if you're black, white, man, woman, tall, short, handicapped. I don't care what or who you are. I don't care how you grew up or anything else. You committed a crime. You serve the time. Period. And this is a problem I have. Now, no, it shouldn't be, no, but it should be determined by the circumstances surrounding the murder. Okay. I'm fair to say that if the murder was an accident or self-defense, or it was a police officer justified shooting in trying to apprehend somebody in the commission of a crime, no, I do understand certain circumstances that could sway the verdict of the case. But in the end, you should serve the time for the crime you committed, and that shouldn't be swayed by what you did or how you did it. You still committed the crime. Right. However, okay, I can agree that a crime isn't right. I break laws all the time that I don't agree are right. That doesn't mean I'm not admitting that I'm a criminal in some cases. I mean, I don't break... I smoke my pot. I cross the street without a light. But that goes to what Beware said. It's laws I don't agree with. Do I understand that I'm a criminal for doing these things? Yes. Yes, I do. Do I understand what the punishment for getting caught is? That's interesting. What is the punishment for getting caught? Is it a slap on the wrist? A $150 fine? Is it a ticket? Is it a sentence? Am I going to jail? Am I getting arrested? What's happening? That's the problem. That part I don't agree with. Now, if you guys want to simplify things, let's simplify things. Okay, it's illegal for me to have pot. What happens when I get caught with pot? Well, you could. No. What happens when I get caught? Well, when people get caught with pot, they commonly no. That's the problem. It's too blurry to people who haven't gotten. No, you don't. Death Hyrukin? No, you don't. You don't get arrested all the time. Sometimes they confiscate it and give you a ticket. Sometimes they take you down to the police station. They write you up. They take your prints. They write you a couple of tickets and send you off on your way a few hours later. They don't always arrest you. Sometimes they just detain you. Okay? So let's look at this reasonably. Does anybody know what they're going to get for committing a crime? And this is what I'm saying. It should be the same. Okay. Should be the reasonably same punishment every time. For the same crime. Okay? And the reason that things get cloudy is you try to take different circumstances of the crime and change what the crime was. And that makes it really difficult to try to be fair when you're putting the emphasis of a trial or the emphasis on the crime of the person committing the crime. It's not about the person committing the crime. Not at all about the person committing the crime. It's about the crime they committed. What happened? What was the events? What was the proof? What happened to a world who believed in facts, not circumstance? Even the legal system seems to be leaning in that direction. Look at the facts. And this is what's clouding vision, is if you... Little things like I see in chat, and I catch myself do it a lot, where I try to assign characteristics that make things make sense. That's what allows for the cloudy visions on things as they change. If we're looking at how did this person grow up that got them to where they're holding a gun and shot somebody for the money? No. Why didn't this person get caught? Shooting somebody gets you 20 years in prison. Period. Behind bars. No misconceptions. Let people know how things are. Now, I got about 13 minutes left, I think, in today's show. And I'm going to divert a little bit because I have another massive problem that kind of goes hand in hand with this. Does anybody know the magic word that starts with P? I'll give you a few seconds while I take another drink because I've been talking a lot. What's the word? Talking about crime, and we just did a bone heist. Excuse me. It is not porn, but good guess that I reckon. Not please. Privilege. Privilege is a word that bothers me. So, when you reach a certain point, let's say when you turn 18 in the United States, you're able to smoke cigarettes, play the lottery, and some other things depending on where you are. Vote, sign up for the military. That's a privilege. Not signing up for the military. Unless you want. Excuse me. Sodas. A privilege is something that's awarded to you when you reach a point, when you achieve something. A privilege. You're 16, 18, 15, 17, whatever it is in the state or country you're in, to get your driver's license. Okay, now you go through this, this, and this, and you're allowed to drive. That's your privilege. That privilege can be revoked, taken away if you misuse it or abuse it. That's a privilege. Can whiteness be taken away if you misuse it? Can your blackness be taken away if you misuse it? Can we take away blackness if you go out and commit crimes so that you're no longer black and you're not adding to the statistic? Can we take away your whiteness at the door so you can be fair treated? Can we take away your gender at the door so you can go to a gym? Now, don't get me wrong, guys. I do understand for certain gender separations that are understandable, and I don't want to go into them in depth on this show because I don't have enough time. However, who somebody is has no part in the argument you have against them. An opinion is opinion, a job is a job. Yes, I'm all for meritocracy. Meritocracy is privilege. That I can agree with. If you have worked your ass off to get somewhere and you have managed to meet the right people and you went to the right classes and know the right details, then you get the privilege to go on certain trips and meet new people. If you're not going to work for these things, you're not going to have that privilege. And that's where the privilege is. If you're not going to work for it, you're not going to have the privilege of the outcome. So you're calling people privileged. Are they privileged because they worked for what they have? Or are you assigning them privilege for an arbitrary factor? I really have a problem with that word. And the reason is because I have certain privileges. My privileges include my driver's license and my ability to vote. But some of my privileges are taken away. I can't own a firearm in the state I live in. I can never own a handgun in the United States. I can't get certain jobs. I can't get certain licensing. I can't do things. And I understand this. And I've lost those privileges because I did something wrong. Okay? And I have no problem with that. I'm not arguing. Could I get some of these privileges back? Some, not all. I lost them because I screwed up. None of the privileges I have, nor the privileges I've lost, are based on me being a man or on me being white. However, a privilege, maybe to being a woman, and not that I'm saying anything negative about being a woman, but a privilege. You don't have to sign up for the draft. Not that there's really, I think, ever going to be a national draft happening again, but you don't have to. You're welcome to go log into the draft office and sign up. Every woman is. Every man is required. It's your privilege to not have to. In addition to that, most women, it's your privilege to do what you want with the kid. And men don't have that privilege. Speaking of working, how early before the show tomorrow could you hit me up before we walk through things, NumbedSkull? Absolutely. I try to sit down at my computer about 6, and since I'm not running it, you can message me up. Hey, Dada, you have a link. Just let me know. Although there's only a few minutes maybe left. You can offer in what you like. Pop in, say hello, something. Where was I? Privilege. I have a problem when I hear that word. And it's a privilege to go to college. You earn the right. It's a privilege to have Dada here because he's earned that right. I don't know if I can hear him. Let me check my details. Is he talking? Dad, are you talking? I don't... oh, yes, baby, no, hello, hello. Can everybody hear Dada? Because I don't know. Somebody tell me what's going on. I'm lost. Is everybody privileged enough to hear Dada? Try it again.
Hello?
Yeah, you're there now. You're there now. Hey, Dada's here. Dada's here. He's not quiet anymore. It was just,
I'm so sorry.
Audio. No worries.
I was stuck.
I told you if you couldn't make it, no worries. You know I got this. I had a topic in mind, and I just ran with it.
I was stuck in at a client's place, and it ended up taking a lot longer than I thought.
Oh my God, don't I know that story this week? Holy shit. 1 day worth of work turned into 3 days worth of work, turned into I'm going back on Monday for more jobs.
This guy, when it comes to computers, this guy is his own worst enemy. So what's the topic?
You're jumping in. I'm going to ask you this point blank question. How privileged are you?
Not at all.
Not at all. Are you sure?
My definition of privilege is having more money than you know.
Okay, but I want you to go to the general definition of privilege because that's how I always try to look at things. A privilege is something that you earn and you kind of sort of have to maintain. Like a driver's license is a privilege to have.
No. Listen, there could be a privileged family that you're born into, and you're a person of privilege.
Really?
To be honest, I'm kind of sick and tired of everybody like redefining words.
Well, no, I'm going by dictionary definition of privilege. A privilege is something you can earn and lose, right? I'm going down to common sense. You can earn a privilege, you can lose a privilege.
Oh yeah, a driver's license is a privilege,
right.
Not a. Okay,
and
but
voting, holding a gun, it may be a right, but it's also a privilege. And these are things that I speak of well because as a felon, you lose a lot of privileges, which are also rights. Okay, so to think of it, a lot of rights are privileges to have. Yes, they're your rights, but they're also re-awarded to you by the government. They're granted to you as freedom. Freedom is a privilege. There you go. A wild fox appears. So freedom is a privilege. So if you take into account your privilege, then is color really a privilege?
Yeah, I'm privileged as much as I have a driver's license.
And you're privileged to be old enough to drink. You've achieved a certain status that's granted you that ability. Being white has never granted me anything.
No, it hasn't granted me anything either.
And I've never honestly seen too many things around me, here and there, that have granted too much privilege to people of color or different races.
I think a lot of people, they're in this habit of redefining, redefining racism. How is it a black person can't be racist? Because
a privilege is something you can gain or lose. So if you're a man or a woman or black or white, how is it a privilege to be you?
Well, and I mean...
And like you said, you don't feel privileged because you haven't achieved something you're after yet. That would be your privilege to achieve something, to obtain a goal, which is correct. That's a privilege.
Listen, a privilege is something given to you.
Because you achieved it or you were
born into it. Or you were born into it.
So you got to that point. You were in a family that got to the point of money. Does your family give you money? They took care of you when you leave. Do you get any of it? That would be a privilege, but it's not necessarily going to happen. It would be a privilege to get money from your parents. And people don't look at things the same. And again, you and I have slightly varied outlooks. But I go down to base.
If we lived in a castle, and our family was in this castle for hundreds of years, and even if we didn't have money, we lived in this, surrounded by servants, we would be living a life of privilege.
Correct. And I would agree with that. But just as fast, if you lost... Whoops, sorry.
And we were born into it.
Right, but just as fast, if the family lost the money, the privilege is gone.
Okay.
Being white does not earn or keep them that privilege right now.
Right.
Your color, nothing about you, man or woman, keeps you that privilege. I don't know, sometimes women, but that's a whole nother topic I'm trying not to go into today. Right. My point is, real quick, Dad, I know you're jumping in late, so let me go back and reiterate for anybody that's been along, because we are, coming to the end of an hour. There's two people on the screen. These are my characters. These are O1VW because they're made of a 0, a 1, a V, and a W. In that order. These characters are equal. And it doesn't matter whether one is black and the other white, one is male and the other female, or what arbitrary characteristics you assign them. I try to take all those characteristics apart and look at what it is they did, and then say that the outcome should be equal regardless of those characteristics. And then to carry that on, that those characteristics of the person don't necessarily grant them privilege. Because privilege is something you have to achieve or earn and can also be lost.
It could also be the luck of the draw.
Yeah. You could be... Luck of the draw could grant you privilege. But privilege can also be lost. Let's say you win tickets on the radio, but you get to the concert or whatever, and they go, no, we're sorry, you're on a list of people not allowed.
I've got one. I'm a black man. I went through, I have a talent in football, and I was given a scholarship, and I went to college, and I did so well in football. I'm now in the NFL, and I get paid millions and millions and millions of dollars. I have privilege.
Right.
Right.
Now, without even going in that deep, just saying that you have to earn, achieve, or reach a level to get to that privilege, and that privilege could be lost. If, for instance, taking your same analogy, but I'm going to take a knee on the field for a season and then make some other choices.
Right.
My color should keep me in the game, right? I'm not privileged because I'm black. No, you're privileged because you're a football player making millions of dollars from the decisions you made, but then you made a bad one and lost your money. I don't feel sorry for you. You still have some privilege, but you lost some because you made a mistake. Like I was saying, I still have some privileges. I can vote, I can get a job, but I can't get certain licensing. I can't own a weapon or a handgun ever again. When you do something wrong, you lose that privilege. A privilege is something you can earn and lose. A privilege isn't... Yeah, you can be born into a privilege, but born into a skin color is not a privilege. Not in these days in the Western societies. Well,
Nope.
although it's starting to lean a different way. And I haven't really touched on it, but Dada shot me a video, and it kind of came in after my thought of this. Now, mind you, I still have a script I haven't even looked at before I did this. 4 videos kind of on this. So
Which one was it? Was it the how to sell a black a Negro?
I don't remember which one it was. It was the one that started with Black Hitler. I watched every bit of it through, and you will not even... I can't even count the number of Google tabs I had. And I'm one of those people, you gave me something with so much information in it, I was lost in it.
Great video,
However,
right?
Awesome video. Look up the Caser case. Damn. Whole new outlook on things. Never heard of the Caser case before.
For anybody who is unaware, there's this Asian Indian, who made a video basically going back to where slavery came from, all aspects of it, and how racism has nothing to do with slavery. In other words, and he showed it and proved it in multiple ways, going all the way back in history, all the way to today.
But did you catch the part that I caught about black slavery?
What about it?
Black slavery in America was started by a black slave owner.
Yep.
In Virginia, it was called the Caser case. Bye, a wild fox. Have a good time. Time for Fright Power Hour. Enjoy it. Tell everybody I was here. Make sure you share the stream, like, and all that other shit. We're going to be out of here in a few minutes. I created a new outro. Oh, I forgot to post the cool thing I made last week for the beginning, but I'll get to it. I made other cool stuff.
That case was the first case to legally define a slave.
Correct. It was...
And it was... a lifetime slave.
It was to eliminate the fact that when an indentured servant finished the time they had to serve for their then master, for an indentured servant, they would pay their fees to get there and everything. Once their time was done, they had to give them clothes, a weapon, a certain amount of money, and a few other things. There was a list of several things they had to give them when they finished their servitude. And one of the slave owners, I believe it was Casor, right?
Johnson
versus Casor. So Casor was the slave, Johnson was the slave owner. Took the slave to court and said that the cost of giving him these things would cost these many more years, and it should be made that he is a slave because of the cost of supplying him with everything for him to live on. And slavery was started by a black slave owner. And yeah, I was Googling, I was looking into this. This is a show for another night. I absolutely wanted to cover that with you, but on short chance, I drew this up and hit on a tangent topic that was kind of side by side with it. But I
Right.
wanted to touch on. Sometimes I like talking about how I break down how I think of things. And when I break down a case, I strip away the factors to these bare bones people without definition to who they are, but what they did. I don't care how
Heinrich.
old they are or how they grew up or anything else. I
Heinrich.
care what they did.
Heinrich. Exclamation point Bones.
Yeah, only for the gambling do you use the exclamation point on the bots. So it's exclamation bones.
So, the other thing, I don't know if you have been checking out the news lately, but there was this girl that interrupted a speech at a college talking about how there were multiple, what are they called? When a whole group hangs somebody,
Oh,
a lynching. Yeah,
yes.
she said there was multiple lynchings. So
There
you
was a
start.
loose definition that meant the killing of a black man for
Well,
in
a
public
lynching.
view for the crimes he committed or something. There was
Well,
a loose term
well,
for it.
well, no. The actual definition of a lynching is a mob hanging somebody. Okay, I mean, if you want to get down to brass tacks, it's a mob hanging somebody. Okay, so this girl was talking about how racism is so prevalent, and there was two lynchings. Well, you come to find out that one of the two lynchings was a black a guy committing suicide by hanging himself on an overpass. The other lynching was a gun deal gone bad where two black individuals on Craigslist went to sell a gun. When they hooked up with two white individuals, the white individuals heard click, click, and they ended up firing at the black individuals who were about to rob them. And killing them. And then later they ended up cutting up the bodies and doing hiding the bodies and all that. These are supposedly the quote lynchings that people are talking about.
Yay! We're
So
gonna have to plan a show with some details about some of the variations of what I talked about tonight. But I was just trying to take it down to general terms to
right,
interestingly say, because some people don't see it the way I see it. Some people don't strip everything away. They go, well, a man killed a woman because it was self-defense and this and that. Okay, it was self-defense. I can understand that. But if the person's convicted of killing somebody, not necessarily in self-defense, but convicted of killing them, explain to me an outcome for killing somebody. Explain to me a detail that's going to change me from saying you killed somebody, you deserve this sentence. That way the next person that kills somebody understands clearly that there is a defined sentence that you're going to serve.
right,
Also, that privilege is not something that you inherently have and keep. It is something that you earn and can be taken away. Even if you're not the one that earned it, you were given it, it can be taken away. So, with that
right.
being said, thank you for joining me, Dada. I understand being late or not showing up,
Yeah,
all that.
sorry.
You know that. I have no problem whatsoever. I just,
I feel
I'll put the next show on you, and I'll just tag along and see how it goes.
okay.
Everybody in the chat: Bobcat McSwifty, Death Hyderukin, JCTV, Henrik. Who else do I got? All these fine people who have been here this whole evening. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. There are other shows to go see, and tomorrow, watch my Twitter. Type tweet in the chat if you're not following me on Twitter. Watch my Twitter. I will be streaming with A Wild Fox Appears about 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't know where it's going. I don't know where it's been, but we'll find out tomorrow. Everybody, thank you so much. Check out this cool new outro I'm setting up, messing with, and here we go.
Have a good Saturday, guys.
I don't have music. We need music. Good enough. Thanks, everybody.
Fill it up.
Bye.
Can I check under the hood?
Sure. I love this flashing shades thing I made. I was bored and I didn't know what to use it on. All right, everybody. Hit some buttons you see on the screen, preferably not the one in the lower right-hand corner. Other than that, enjoy your day.